Chapter 2, Inserting Formulas into a Worksheet. This video is just to go over some of the concepts that you'll be required to do in the assessments for Chapter 2. As you can see, when you go into my MTI, I do have this file that I would like you to open, save it to your folder, and use it. So when you're done, you will upload one file into MTI, this file, and I will be able to see, using the tabs at the bottom, all 4 of your assessments. It makes it easier for me when grading. I only have one file to open. Okay, so the first assessment has you inserting the average, max, and min functions into your spreadsheet. I'm not going to go over this one too much. It's pretty much self-explanatory. You're going to go into H4, go down where it says AutoSum, the Greek E, and you will find your average and make sure you use the range of all the cells January through June, which is B4 through G4. You press enter. The one thing I do want to remind everybody is you do have the fill handle, so I can copy the formula down rather than going to each cell and doing this separately. And then of course you're going to do the totals, the highest, which is max, and the lowest, which is min. When you're done with it, it'll look something like this. This is kind of a finished product. I always go to the control tilde too, and the tilde is the key to the left of the number 1. If you hold down your control and hit your tilde, what you do is you see all of your formulas. That's something I do when grading your work. I look at it, I click in it, and then I do the control tilde to make sure all the formulas is as they're supposed to be. Okay, assessment 2. Assessment 2, again, actually they give you the exact formulas they want you to type in. What you're doing is you're inserting the sum function, and the sum function is used when you're adding a range of cells. So for instance, you're going to add B9 to B11. You're not going to do B9 plus B11, it's B9 through B11. So when you get to that one, which I believe is in B7, no, sorry, B7 has where you subtract. It's down in B12. Your formula is going to be equal sum, parentheses, B9 through B11. Also has you using the fill handle, putting in the date and time, so make sure you get all those things done as asked through assessment 2. Again, I don't feel there's a ton I need to go over in that one. If you have questions when going through it, of course, send me an email, give me a call, and we'll get you there. Assessment 3, write formulas with absolute cell reference. So if you would just go to the files from the data files, yours is going to look different than this, because if you read through it, it has you saving this 3 different times. One with the project quota of 10%, one with the product quota of 15%, and one with 20%, where I just want to see what it's going to look like. I want all 3. I only want one file. So we're just going to do them in 3 different columns. When I go to C4, we're going to want to take all of these current quotas and we're going to say, hey, what if we have a 10% increase? So for 10%, we're going to use the 1.1. Now, I want 95,000 to be multiplied by B15. I want 137,000 to be multiplied by B15. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you the other file, is we're going to create an absolute cell reference. As you can see, we did that, if you look in the formula here, by putting dollar signs before the column and before the row number. That makes it so it doesn't adjust. Normally, for instance, when we're pulling down here, things adjust because we don't, they're relative cell reference. There's no dollar signs. So here the average is B4 through G4. Here it's B5 through G5, B6 through G6. Now over here, because we have those dollar signs in the formula, it multiplies B4 by that 1.1, that B5 by 1.1, B6 by 1.1, B7 by 1.1, because we made it an absolute cell reference by putting the dollar signs, meaning don't adjust. We did the same thing with the 15% and the 20%. I'll go ahead and show you in this one. So every equation starts with an equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my equals. and I'm going to take B4, multiply it by the 1.1, which is B15. Now I can type in $B, $15, or I can hit select it and hit my F4 key. My F4 key turns that from a relative cell reference, meaning it adjusts, to an absolute cell reference. If I hit B4 again, I have a mixed cell reference where the row doesn't adjust, but the column does. Hit it again, and we have the column adjusting, but the row's not. So we don't want either to adjust, so we have $ before the B and before the 15. Press enter, and again, all I have to do is drag this down. My formula is going to be put in there. Do the same thing for the quota of 15, but of course using B16, and the quota of 20, but using B17. I hope that makes sense. Moving on to assessment 4. Assessment 4 is using a mixed cell reference, which I briefly just talked about. In this mixed cell reference, I already have the formula in here. I took B5, which is right here, the 10, and I'm going to multiply it by C4, which is the 10. However, when I fill it down, I do not want the column to adjust. I did not want B to adjust or the row for 4. So I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to pull that down. I'll pull that a little too far. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this over, and then I can go down on each of them. So I'll kind of show you here. Okay, so in C6, it says equals B6 times C4. When I go to C7, it says B7 times C4, B8 times C4, B9 times C4. Notice the row is adjusting, but the column is not. When I go over here, it's B, I'm going to pull this one across one more. I have B6 times D4, B6 times E4, B6 times F4. So you can kind of see what's adjusting and what's not to create this table. Again, when I'm trying to decide where to put the $signs, I can type them in, or I can just use my F4 key at the top row of your keyboard. I hope this makes sense, and when you're done, it'll look a little bit more like this, all filled out. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, once you've done all 4 of the assessments, please save them and upload just this file. So you'll only be uploading one file, but all 4 assessments will be at the bottom tabs. Thank you and have a good day.